This conference will now be recorded.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to some heat. It's very welcome for me. I think getting a chance to watch the rain stop, get a chance to mow a little lawn, and then get overheated. So tonight, our first thing is on the agenda is we have two sets of minutes. We have the April 8th regular meeting minutes, and we also have the April 30th, which was the sort of the special, not special meeting, but it was the regular work session moved to 6 o'clock so we could review the annual financial report with the public and with all the people, department heads. So could we do those as one motion, or should we do them in two? One's fine?
Let's do them in two, because I didn't get to read the April 30th, so
Okay.
I don't want to vote on that one.
Okay, so then a motion to accept the April 8th minutes.
I'll make a motion for that.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Okay, the second motion is the April 30th regular work session meeting minutes. I have a motion to accept those.
Make it.
Second.
Thank you, Tim.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Tina's not going to be, any questions or discussion or
I
concerns?
gotta clarify with Dawn. I think the question I had, I got clarified with her.
Okay,
Casey's hourly rate is 20.
yes.
Okay.
And also, yeah, okay, so I did answer this question as well. We had the discussion about whether someone needed to be stuck at 29 minutes, 29 hours a week versus 30. It turns out we looked into it, the seasonal, if you are a seasonal worker, there's no similar restriction as there would be for part-time. So once we characterize somebody as a seasonal worker, 30 hours is perfectly legal. So that was sort of the clarification made, so the resolution basically reflected that discovery. So, any further questions? All of us in favor of this?
Aye.
Aye. Abstained? Carried. Okay, reports from departments. I know we have a report from Ed that was written. I also would like to take the chance to thank, Ed's not here, but at our last meeting, we went through the annual financial report, and we would bring up the department heads to sit with us, and I really appreciated Ed and Lou coming and doing something that I'm not sure we do that sort of typically in the past, but it was helpful to the board, and it was helpful to, I think, them to understand. Tonight, we're not closing the account books because we're not quite all here, but we will be revisiting to those things that were tabled at the last meeting at some point when we're up to full speed, and that includes, setting up types of reserve accounts from based on the suggestions that our department heads have made. But I want to thank Ed and Dewey for coming in and doing that. Ed's report was submitted to us. That shows his monthly stuff. I don't know where mine is. I just brought it in. But in any case, so any questions about Ed's report?
No.
Okay. John is excused tonight, but John has started to, I know they've been very busy. We started with Casey, and Chip started this past week. When the rain stopped, they've got almost all of the Memorial Day Hometown Hero banners up except for 5. They'll be up tomorrow. All of our bathrooms are open. They laid down mulch. They're getting our grounds ready. Pretty soon they'll be coming in with the orders to beautify the town with flowers and plants and things like that. So that's John's report. John has also been working on, at that last meeting on the end of the month, he was asked to start brainstorming on what types of things the Parks Department could use and help with, or purchases in the future for. He's already starting to get proposals for, larger projects that we've put off, maybe seal coating and things like that. He's got more to do, but he'll come and present it to us probably in our work session at the end of the month. So that's the Parks report. Doug submitted a written report as well, right, Doug? Okay.
I can't find Ed either. I think I had Dawn.
I just had it a minute ago.
But,
Stand by.
sorry.
I want it.
I see Doug's. I have Doug's.
Yes. Perfect.
Thank you.
Put it at the bottom of the.
I don't want to say I approved it with, or that it's me.
Okay. Yeah, these will be filed as part of the regular course of business as well. So Doug's report is on. There have been 5 building permits issued, and is that the month of April? Yeah, your report says April. Is that,
April?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 5 new permits. Sorry, I don't want to. So 800 fees collected, and there's 53 open permits. He's done 20 site visits. The short-term rental update, the active permits are 149. We have collected $18,750 to date for the renewal of the SCR permits, which, according to our little report here, on our monthly this report here, when you look at the revenues on page 3, you can see the STR fees. We've collected so far $24,300 this year. We budgeted for $45,000, so we're making progress. And I think those will go out pretty regularly. They didn't go all out all at once, so we're not expecting that we'll have gotten all the money in at once. Any questions about Doug's report?
The new ones that you sent us an email from Essex County, are those in the tally? They were sent us the ones that were,
Not necessarily. Some were, took time to get the report that were already in.
okay,
So those are already in.
they're already part of the 149.
Doug, rather than me trying to play telephone, I wonder if you'd be willing to discuss this code enforcement issue with us in executive session after the meeting.
Do you want to go into executive session?
After the meeting.
Yeah, but you're saying right now you'd like to go into executive session.
Yes.
That's for a legal matter. Hang in there. Okay, so thank you. Dog control, I know the dog control, Trevor he did attend the training along with the town of Jay. I did get a report from the New York State Department of Ags and Janet Collier that Trevor's done all of his training. He's passed everything satisfactorily. I'm happy that he is interested in being the dog control officer, and he's responsive when we have it, and he's in touch with our judge in case there's a certain summons and issues and process needs to be started. So they're starting to communicate with each other, because I think it's sort of generally speaking, enforcement's always a question, and that's we have whether the dogs are licensed. He's keeping track of that, and so this may be his first foray into the world of justice court enforcement. But I'll check in on him and see how he's doing with that stuff. But I appreciate that. So that's the end for that. I asked Colin whether he could make it tonight to give us a report for the Visitors Bureau. He indicated he couldn't. So if there's anything, I hate to put you on the spot, Joyce.
Okay,
Yes.
just
Yeah,
this weekend is the Kupai, starts Thursday evening with a little get together at the beach. There's a band, there's a food truck, and it's open to the public. It's open to all the town of Wilmington people too. So if you want to come down and have some fun, come down. But that's how we kicked off the Kupai.
What time's that start?
Well, for you, about 2 o'clock. Yeah.
I think it starts at 5:30, but don't quote me. It's on the poster, so if you go out to the website, it's on the poster. I just can't remember. We've got a lot going on, so.
Yeah, so there's check-in starts Thursday afternoon
At noon,
at noon.
and it goes from noon until 4:30 at the Visitors Bureau.
And then
And then they move up to the big,
in the morning, there's a backup check-in early,
on Friday morning at 6:30.
yes. Which I volunteered to
You're a good man.
stand by.
I'm
there.
not gonna be awake.
As long as I get into the office at the regular time. So, and then it should be interesting.
Oh,
Colin,
thanks.
for years, it's been run, and Colin's had a sort of a learning curve with this because there's a lot of moving parts for the Two Fly. There's contests, there's auctions, there's things like that. And so, with the help of the board of the Visitors Bureau, I think he's getting a handle on this.
He is,
Yeah.
he's doing a good job.
He's done a really good
The
job.
party starts at 6 o'clock
Yeah.
down at the beach.
He's done a really good job.
6 o'clock when? What day?
Thursday,
Okay, very good.
Tina will be there at 2.
yes.
Well, if you tell Tina too, there's a chance she might get there by 7.
All right, no picking on board members.
I didn't know we had so much in common.
Yes, they would have.
The public comment is number 9. So we'll move on to that. Okay, so that's the report. Anything else, Joyce?
There, all weekend long, there's something going on. On Friday, there's the actual tournament starts. The Hungry Trout, Two Fly, like Evan's very involved this year, very involved. So there's speakers and there's
Demonstration.
clinics and all kinds of stuff all weekend long. So, I think it's going to be good. I mean, it is our 25th anniversary, so we're trying to do her up big.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much.
Nice
That's really
article
all
in
we've
the
got right
Enterprise.
now.
Nice article in the Enterprise.
Definitely a nice article in the Enterprise. Yeah,
So if
I
anyone
was very
hasn't seen
impressed
that.
with that.
Okay, so we have reports from the board, and Tim goes first.
Does anyone object to naming the picnic area at the town beach after Greg Lynch?
I would, let's say, provisionally, I have no objection. I just certainly would like Darren to be there before we make the final conclusion. So it's always nice if we have unanimous consent.
Okay. I did talk with him about it and he had no objection.
I understand. It doesn't, we could bring it up at the end of the month. It'd be fine.
Okay. I wrote a resolution honoring Greg and thanking him for his service to the town. I think it would be appropriate to read it now rather than waiting for the work session. I can.
Go ahead and read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying, naming something like that, I think
Okay.
it's appropriate to.
Okay. Greg Lynch worked for the town of Wilmington for 30 years. During that time, he envisioned and oversaw the creation of a new park, spent tens of thousands of hours mowing, raking, planting, and plowing, and worked to repair many broken water lines. None of that is as important as the impact he made on others. A descendant of the locally famous guide Asher Lynch, Greg was born and raised on Springfield Road and attended the one-room schoolhouse on Hardy Road. Greg's parents died when he was young, and his early years were not easy. Other community members helped look out for him, including Bob and Judy Bowen, who helped him get a job working for the town of Wilmington in 1975. In the following years, Greg showed the town that Bob and Judy were correct to believe in him. Greg gradually rose through the town ranks, ultimately becoming park superintendent, deputy water superintendent, and cemetery sexton. During that time, Greg developed a reputation for being intelligent, practical, and extremely careful with the taxpayers' money. He got the most out of the town's equipment to save money, even if that meant he had to work a little harder. At the end of his career, Greg was proud of the fact that he had only used a few different trucks during his decades with the town, using them until their floorboards wore through. Greg worked for 7 different town supervisors and dozens of town board members. No matter what controversy was the talk of the town or what intrigue was afoot, Greg was known for being solid, respectful, and straightforward in his dealings with the town's various elected officials. Elected officials come and go, but the people who keep the lights on, the roads clear, and the water running tend to be in the background, often quietly going about their work with little recognition or celebration. Greg's family remembers him working hard behind the scenes to study for the exams required to run the town's water plant. They also remember him leaving the house in the worst weather to repair broken water lines. And they remember him venturing out onto a frozen Ausable River to rescue Wilmington's 4-legged friends. Many of the milestones of Greg's career are milestones of Wilmington's history. These include the installation of the town's present water plant and the infamous ice storm of 1998, after which Greg spent days working nearly around the clock. Greg was a staple of his community for so many years that 2 current members of Wilmington's town board worked for him or with him during their teens and early 20s. They remember him as very tolerant. Greg's current park superintendent, John Langford, also worked for Greg as a teenager. And Wilmington's deputy park superintendent, Ashton Winch, is Greg's grandson. As Bob and Judy Bowen took on a trusted, almost quasi-parental role for Greg, Greg took on that role for later generations of young people. To them, Greg was known for his great sense of humor, for going out of his way to help them out, for his knowledge, perspective, wisdom, and common sense, for his unique ability to sum things up in a few words, and for his insightful advice. Like many, many others, they will miss Greg Winch. Whereas Greg Winch, a pillar of his community and an exemplary public servant for the town of Wilmington for more than 30 years, passed away in March of 2025, be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Wilmington, New York, does hereby express its gratitude for Greg's many efforts, seen and unseen, tangible and intangible, for the town and its citizens. Then be it further resolved that a section of town property shall be named Greg Winch Park in honor of Gregory P. Winch Sr., a family man, public servant, and pillar of his community. Be it further resolved that this resolution be added to the permanent minutes of the town board of the town of Wilmington, New York, and that copies of this resolution shall be sent to the family of Greg Winch Sr. I guess I can move this just omitting the second to last paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay. So moved.
He has made a motion. Second? Second. So it's unanimous second. So except for the designation of the town property, everything else
Everything else stands.
was stand. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll do the rest of my report. I'll do the rest of my report as quickly as possible. I just want to mention that I attended the Beta annual meeting on Saturday, a very positive and informative event. I wanted to mention that Greg had told his grandson not to get involved with town politics. And he told me the exact opposite. And maybe that was Greg's greatest prank. So ever since Greg sent me on this prank, I never would have attended the Beta annual meeting, but I'm glad I did, and I would definitely recommend. I enjoyed it. I found it very informative. I would definitely recommend next year for everyone to attend if you're remotely interested. It's held at the LPCA. Mary Carol Peck, we had resolved to buy her a computer and a subscription to Ancestry.com. I don't remember which year that was, whether that was, I believe it was 2023. I'm not positive. Yeah,
Last year Roy was here.
yeah, so 2023. But she never got the money. So I need to bring that up so that she can get the money to do that.
Okay,
She's the town historian. She's not just a citizen.
so listen, we can do a resolution so long as we have some idea of we could say no more than X.
Okay,
And then we'll put it under the historian budget item. But at the same time, what we could do is we can make a budget amendment eventually from some fund that hasn't been overtaxed and fund it that way.
Okay.
Or from fund balance. But right now, it looks as if we have a few of our budget lines that are flexible enough that we can make adjustments to it. So if you get some sort of number,
okay.
more or less, I don't
Okay.
see why not.
You talked to her about this?
No, this is through the grapevine, but I was asked to bring this up. Yep. I don't know what it means, but I
The
will.
reason she didn't get the computer was because she got sick. Well, he got
Okay.
in the bike accident.
Yeah, a lot of
And then
things.
she got really sick herself,
So
so it kind of fell.
So just, present us something, because we'll have to do, it's a budget amendment, because it's bigger than the budget line. So we'll have to, say, okay, we're gonna increase the budget amendment by X, and this is the amount we're
Okay.
authorizing the expenditure for. And then we'll have to ask, who's going to buy it, because if it's through the town, we get the tax-free stuff. If she's happy with some model that we managed to buy through our, whatever, purchaser, agent, whoever, that way we could get it ourselves and give it to them as part of that job.
So I'm writing down that we're going to revisit this after prices are got.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So I will contact her and ask her.
Just, what does she want? Ancestry, I can figure out what that is. Just what kind of computer would she be at?
And does she want to find it on her own, or does she want to recommend something to us? And
That's fine. Yeah,
okay.
whatever she'd like to do. Okay, great.
Two more things. Believe it or not, I'm sure you all have seen the signs, which are out extremely early. There is a primary election in Wilmington on June 24th, which will be conducted just like a normal election, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. For highway superintendent. It's a Republican primary election. Only registered Republicans are allowed to vote. If you're not sure if you're a Republican, you can contact me and I can look it up for you. There will be early voting, just like a regular election, the week before in Lake Placid and Lewis, as far as I know, at the normal early voting sites. I don't remember the last time Wilmington had a primary election. I think it's, yeah.
I don't mean to update that, but there is a notice that has been highlighted that's hung up. I just think it's in Lake Placid only, the early voting.
Okay,
So
okay.
we'll put that on our website and put
Okay.
it on their Facebook page as well. But
Okay.
apart from that, yeah.
Okay, good, thank you. And then, as probably most people here know, Shirley Lawrence did pass away a few days recently. And she was the clerk to the supervisor. From probably the 70s through the early 2000s.
30 years.
About 30 years,
It's gotta be more than 30.
30,
maybe closer to
32
40.
years. Yeah.
And she was beloved, and a lot of people are called beloved, and a lot of people are beloved by a lot of people, but she was truly beloved, and she was truly a bright light, and every time I ever interacted with her, it was a pleasure, and I think I speak for the whole town in saying that, and I'm sure I speak for the whole town in expressing our appreciation for her and our sympathy and condolences to her family. And I hope we can come up with a fitting way to honor her 30 plus years working for the town and her many contributions to the community.
You can make a resolution of condolence now if you want, just generally,
Okay.
kind of like what you just said. And then we can
Okay,
work on something a little more formal with her.
thanks.
And as secretary for the commissioner of the fire department.
That's
she
right.
was for years,
Almost 40 years.
40 years, yep. And
Okay,
her services will be Friday
Yes,
at 4 o'clock at
Saturday.
For it,
Hendrick,
Zometers, 10 o'clock
So
Saturday, and
it's the old name.
I put
10
Hendrick
o'clock
first.
Saturday.
I put Hendrick.
Okay, so Tim just made a resolution of condolence for
Yep.
Shirley and her family, to her family for the loss of Shirley. So motion made by Tim, second? Yes, second.
And appreciation, because.
Yep.
I think the town really does appreciate everything she did.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's my report.
Okay. Darren is excused tonight, so we're up to Laura.
So a couple things. I went to the zoning and planning board meeting last week. That was a long meeting. It was good interaction. There was good discussion. So that was good to attend. This past Wednesday, I also attended with Faber, Carol, and Pat, losing my mind here. We all went to this conference. It was the Adirondack Planning Forum. It was at the Hotel Saranac, and I had originally gone there thinking that I was going to attend the track B, which was about workforce housing and livable communities, climate, all this stuff. And I got there, and one of the reasons I wanted to go is there was this speaker that I have been communicating with. She's with the Department of State. Her name's Monica Ryan, and she's so helpful, and she's so smart with zoning and planning. And so she was one of the speakers for the first track. So I couldn't leave the room. So I was there for all 4 sessions, and I took 2 pages of notes. So, which are actually, I emailed her just to make sure that it was clear, like what I had, how you think you heard something wrong or might have heard it wrong. So I just wanted to make sure. So I will distribute what I took away from that to the board members.
Okay.
And I have copies of the PowerPoints, but at any rate, it was about subdivisions and variances in public meetings, and it was excellent. So if anybody, I don't know, have you ever gone to that? Yeah, I had not been, so it was excellent. And I'm sure that Faber and Carol and Pat have takeaways from their sections, but I will give and have distributed at some point once I get those cleared by her for you guys to have. And then the last thing is the assessments. I don't know, I just found out today that the assessments are the 2026 assessments for what your tax bill in 2026 are on Dawn's desk. So the ones that some of the properties were reassessed. So I didn't get a letter in the mail, and I'm just passing this along to anybody who might be interested. The new assessments are live, and they're on your desk until the 4th Thursday of this month.
They can see that book forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can also, it's not online yet. It will be online once it's live, but we're at 95% eval as we were 100% in 2024. So it's a little Greek to me, as I like to say, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure people would be interested in seeing their assessments. That's it.
Thank you. Tina.
Well, the past month I've went to the New York State Associations of Towns, financial, and did a few classes with them on budgeting, finances, policies, procedures. Next 3 days I'll be in another training for workers' comp with PERMA, learning the new policies that they have up and come and doing some more training with them. The May 21st is the main fundraiser for our library. It's at the Hungry Trout. It's the Feed the Need to Read. That'll start at 5 p.m. And then this Thursday is their final program, and it's going to be digital defense. And then they'll start some more programs off into the fall. So they invite everybody to come to that. That's what I'll have.
Excellent.
And also we have the prom for the benefit the New York.
Prom.
Yes, the prom on May 25th.
High school?
No, adult.
Oh.
At the Twisted Raven to
So you
benefit
gotta
the
get
North
the
Country out of the darkness
Oh, I
suicide
didn't like it
prevention.
the first time.
So, $5 entry fee. If you don't have a dress or a suit, you can come in your jeans. It's just to benefit North Country out of the darkness, suicide prevention, and a lot of raffles and stuff going on. So,
Thank you. I will recommend that the person who's speaking at the library this week, Ken Hughes, is the supervisor from the town of Essex. And he's extremely knowledgeable about computers and systems and protecting yourself. Plus, he's very good. So, Town of Essex is one of those town municipal websites I go to and look at, and I think, oh wow, he's just got so many more so skilled in that stuff, and he's very clear, and he'll be very helpful. So I think that's probably a very nice thing, especially since Tony, I suspected that the email you sent me was some sort of lots of things are going haywire with computers and Newark. What's going on with air traffic? It gets kind of complicated. So it's nice to talk to somebody who can at least. They had an earlier presentation at the library with the people from Community Bank about securing, securing your cards and stuff, what to look out for people phishing and getting your account information and stuff. And I think all of that stuff is useful and helpful because sometimes you get hit with something you're just not sure what it is.
If you have something you want to do a training on, let us know because the library is open to taking suggestions on any type of training you want or any program you'd like to see. Let them know. They're open to bringing programs in. I did want to backtrack on one thing. Playground equipment.
Yes, it's ordered.
Okay. We haven't heard anything more on it.
No, I updated them on the remember the last meeting I said you the color we want. So I went with the one that we selected, followed up with them, and now I'm following up again about the delivery date.
Okay.
No, it was ordered in March.
Okay.
And then they asked me that silly question about the color sometime in April, and I've followed up and seen what
The one thing we might want to follow up on them too when we get it is the coating, spraying it after the winter.
Yep. So, no, the plan is instead of them trying to drop it and install it for us up at the park, we're going to leave it at the village garage here. And our parks guys can take it up, and if they have any questions, we can follow up on that stuff. I'd say that's some money. Okay, my report. First, we had Robin Anthony had been nominated as a member of the planning board alternate, I think. She indicated that she has moved to South Carolina and so had emailed us to say that she's sorry she couldn't serve anymore. So I think it's probably would be appropriate that we do a resolution regretfully accepting her resignation. And then we'll have an official free spot for something. So I'll make that resolution. Okay, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. The other thing it was brought up to me, and we'll certainly take feedback on this, is starting the start date for the planning board regular monthly meetings to be 6 p.m. Somebody has mentioned that. Is that what you get? What's been discussed and liked and things like that? Okay. So we would make the resolution so they could change it officially, and so we post it once, we do the resolution, and then we don't have to do special notices and things like that going forward.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
All right, so that's the motion, is to change the regular meeting time for the planning board from the, first Tuesday of each month, from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, very good. That's the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
This is kind of irrelevant bureaucratic rigmarole, but I would have thought that, the time and place of their meetings would be, that the town board wouldn't play a role in that. That the planning board would determine the.
Yes, they did, but I think what happens is we'll just sort of sanction it, and then we're the ones who post it and notify it.
Got it.
And we're the ones that get complained by people who, it happened in Wilsboro where they were complaining about how the planning board put their notices up and stuff, and it was the town board that got served with papers. Okay, so it's all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. My reports are, I attended both the State of New York Association of Towns, the Finance and Personnel Conference in Saratoga. Very helpful. There are so many, I appreciate what the controllers tried to do they have a lot of different towns and they have a lot of different questions and different levels of experience and people who know what or don't know anything like I did about basic public general fund accounting. So I thought that would be very useful, and I brought home lots of good ideas and materials from that. I've got a bag of them in case anybody wants to read it. I also did go to the Adirondack Planning over at the Hotel Saranac on Wednesday afternoon. I was part of a roundtable with other invitees and supervisors and mayors from local communities to be introduced to our acting DEC commissioner and to the New York State Secretary of State and other top state officials. The roundtable was very helpful. We were given a bunch of sort of lead questions to discuss the issues that our communities face. There's a certain commonality with many of them, the Upper Lake, and one of which was help with grants. The grant is a very, some of these grants, they have downtown revitalization grants and all this stuff. And it's all very complicated. And it was nice to hear from some of the small towns say, we would like to just be able to go in and pick out a $10,000 grant that somebody in our office can figure out how to do without first hiring a set of professional consultants. And so it was nice to, the state feedback was positive, if sort of neutral on that stuff. For Wilmington, my report is that we have, we basically, the median age in the town of Wilmington is my age. We have a real squeeze because of the increase in property values and the assessments that follow with the fact that people's incomes tend to be fixed or limited in that extent. So that's a challenge that we're not alone facing. Many of the other towns were facing. But in terms of sort of infrastructure, to some extent, we're very fortunate to not have a wastewater system, public wastewater system, because those are expensive to keep up, expensive to train, a huge amount of capital costs. But I did mention to the Secretary of State that our concern after listening to the consultants with the report they gave us about the failure rate, the parts and things that are in our existing water system, how much they cost. We can't replace this, we can't replace that. And I reminded the Secretary of State that Wilmington supplies Whiteface with its water. And if something really goes bad, we only have one person working there right now. We don't really have a redundancy plan. And if there's something catastrophic, nothing Wilmington's going to be able to do about it. It'll become the state's problem. If there's something catastrophic, I just want them to understand that. It's a very valuable asset to the state. And to sit there and think, oh, this tiny little town with our size budget is going to be able to handle something catastrophic with their water system is not going to happen. I don't think that. But I just wanted to get, that's the only real point I got across to the Secretary of State. So I did that last week, and then I joined the classes too. I did a lot of the affordable housing, and that's going to be a challenge, which is a reminder that tomorrow at 4:00 we are going to be meeting with the members of the Adirondack Roots at the Corning property with their designer to walk around and look and show the site to people. We really need to keep pushing because of the presentations that I heard at the conference, Adirondack Roots really sort of was the one that was most thought out. This is the small houses, affordability. So the town of Keens being sold for $160,000. They work with the buyers through the process, go through the consulting and going through the numbers. And so there are a couple of other presentations I was listening to. I'm thinking, I just don't see how we could possibly manage to get something like that off the ground. So I was encouraged by their presentation and their sort of the thoughtfulness about it. They didn't mention Wilmington at that presentation, but I'm okay with that. They're just talking about Keene. So tomorrow at 4:00, I did a soft notice to everybody about that because it's kind of a meeting. because it'd be more than three of us there. And
It's open to the public, right?
exactly, yeah, that's what my point was. I'm hoping that we can see in Keene, what happened was they had the land first and then they had the Keene Housing Task Force. They mentioned that to us. Is there anybody in the community who wants to be part of a sort of a citizens group to help them, talk to them some more about how things are going and what other kinds of needs? Keene already had one. Roots already own the land. This is different. We own the land. We'll be transferring it to them eventually. So in the meantime, so hopefully we can, if people come out tomorrow, it's a lovely day, want to talk to Caitlin and hopefully Megan may be there, but a guy named Dave is going to be there. He's a nice guy. And so chat with them about it. Let's see if we can get that project going forward. Keep them moving. And finally, I mentioned comprehensive plan. If there, please, we need to really, I'm going to go visit on May 31st or so. There's a special event in the town of Jay at Jem's building where they're going to talk about their vision. And I think a lot of our vision and Jay's vision may be the same on some of these things. I've sat with the guy who's the chair of their comprehensive planning committee last week over in the Hotel Saranac, and it's a lot of work. And it would be nice if we could find some people in the community who would want to understand that it's going to be a long process and a lot of work. The board would have a member on it, but wouldn't be necessarily driving that process at all. So I make that request.
Now, as far as planning board members being on that committee, I guess it would be legal if there were 2 planning board members and 1 alternate, because that wouldn't be a quorum of the planning board. Is that right?
I don't, if they're taking action, that's one thing. This is just sort of a discussion. Right. What I'd like to see is if we just look at the roster of Jay, St. Armand, just see how many planning board members are. I just don't think town board members should, don't need to be filling the roster up too much. Way better if we get the community, because what the state's looking for is the community effort, the community buy-in. The politicians are politicians, they'll discount what we have to say. So I'm hopeful we could get somebody who wants to be sort of the champion to be a chair, or maybe 2 chair. Thank you. That's it. New business. Okay, Tim, I'm sorry about this week with that stuff, but what would you like to do? You proposed, you had somebody in mind who you talked to before who may help us with, maybe you had an attorney somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And
I wasn't sure how this was going to go, so I have like so many papers and so many folders, but that is in one of these folders.
Yeah.
So I did draft these in the local law format.
Okay.
Took a few hours. It says, I think it's right. Like, I think it's, however, it wouldn't be shocking if another attorney had a different way to do it. So.
Yeah, so I bring up the other person who you named because we do have, the town has a retaining or an engagement agreement with Miller Mannix and that's special counsel. And Mark Scheckner is a very experienced zoning and planning attorney. But if there was someone else you might recommend or suggest, certainly look at it.
Has everyone seen the proposed amendments? Does anyone want to look at the proposed amendments to the zoning code? I did bring copies, so thanks, Charlie. Thank you. We've got a lot of recidivists here, so, but there are people who haven't seen them. I wonder if Tim Smith would be willing to do it.
No, I'm just, I mean, you're welcome to.
I want, like everyone else, I want to do this in the most economical way.
Thank you.
Did you get a copy?
Um,
I have two here.
I think he gave us like his copy.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So the last time when we were working on this in 2022, the consultants who had worked on the town with the waterfront revitalization and the current zoning code, they've worked with the town a lot, and so we got a quote from them, a proposal, which was shockingly expensive. I don't see a number on here, but I want to say it was like $28,000 or $22,000.
Closer to 20, you're right.
20,
Yeah.
yep, 20 something, right.
And they're the ones who wrote our previous code, right?
The current code?
The current.
The current
sorry,
code.
Current.
Yeah, that's right, they did. Yep. So that, I mean, they would have been a natural place to go to. However, and this was when it was only 2 amendments, so they want $10,000 an amendment. Seems expensive. So I did find another firm that's a very well-regarded firm in Albany, and they gave us a quote for $3,000 to $5,000, depending on if they need to be physically present at a public hearing. So if the board would like me to reach out to them again, I'd certainly be glad to do that. It was very opaque at the last meeting what the next step would be. So I'm glad to take whatever the next step is. So
Any thoughts, Steve?
Reach out and find out what we can
Yeah,
find
no,
out.
20,000 stuff.
Yeah, no,
Not
20,000.
Not
Definitely not reasonable.
Not what we're looking at either. So I could also approach our special counsel and get some sort of rough estimate on what, and that way we can have at least 2 comparisons.
Great.
Yep.
So if you wouldn't mind doing that part.
I would be glad to, and I will also, I don't want to, I like to under promise and over deliver, so I will at least make a few efforts to get other numbers as well from other firms.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I don't want to, no promises.
You know, I mean, professional engagements are a little different from buying, like, we have to buy a truck, we have to go out and get all these kinds of things. You know, you have to have a certain confidence in who it is. It's
True,
giving
that's
you-
true,
Giving you the number.
that's true.
So that would be fine. And if you can, we can revisit this at the end of the month. If you've run into some sort of stone wall or whatever, let us know. Okay, that'd be fine.
So we're just hiring this firm to guide us in incorporating these amendments into the code.
Yes, in the nicest possible way to make it sort of blend.
Right. Okay. It should be like $1,500, you know? It shouldn't be.
One would think.
Those are
Yes.
those are Wilmington rates.
Yes. So I've got so much work.
How long do you need to do?
Okay, Charlie, I'm thinking. Okay,
Well, they would be amendments to the code, right?
Yes.
Not like, we're not rewriting.
Well,
We're not-
Tabor, I did, in my attempt to draft a local law, I did part 6, the town board hereby declares its legislative intent to supersede any provision of the zoning ordinance of the town of Wilmington that is inconsistent with the amendments adopted hereby. The town's rules, forms, and regulations shall, if necessary, be updated to reflect these amendments. To the extent any provision of the zoning ordinance of the town of Wilmington, New York is inconsistent with this local law shall control. That's just legal boilerplate that is frequent, of the type that's frequently used.
yeah, so I don't know, was that, I was at one of those ones where they talked about the difference between the local law and an ordinance, because they said the ordinance, or is that some other
That was not at that one, but
bloody.
there is something
thing.
similar to this language in other parts of our
There-
zoning.
There is,
Right.
Yeah, so,
but an ordinance doesn't have the oomph the local law does, and if we pass the local law, an ordinance can't really replace it. So if our previous one is in fact a local law, the one in 2010 or whatever that is, then we have to, these are the kind of drafting things.
Wouldn't this be a local law as well?
This would be, but we're referencing a zoning ordinance, and that may not be right.
That's what it's titled, but,
It is a law, really, though, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's why I want
I
to
don't
make
know.
sure.
That's what the lawyer would have done, right?
That's okay.
yeah.
That's,
I mean, it's-
That's why it's.
that's right. That's all. It's silly.
I don't know.
It's hair splitting crap.
I thought an ordinance was a law.
No, it's not. The zoning ordinance of local law will be the first one for 2025.
But it's okay. We're not there yet. We're just,
Got it.
we're just,
Thank you.
I'm just throwing that stuff up. Okay.
Okay, I'll try to get some numbers.
Thank you so
That's great.
much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. The other thing on the agenda that I did mention is we are working on getting a quote from Frontier, kind of working under a certain amount of stress and under a deadline because the events at Festival Field last year, Verizon's service was so spotty that the vendors couldn't get their transactions to go through. So I mentioned sometime last year, I think, that we're looking to maybe put in like a Wi-Fi net to cover with a Wi-Fi booster station inside the bathhouse. And so what we've done is we've contacted Frontier to give us a quote. I don't have the quote, and I'm following up on it. I'll present the board with the quote. The other options, I mean, we have so few options, and Starlink, but that's too expensive. To me, I think if Starlink worked, that would be great because we take it up to the youth center because right now we pay $147 a month up there for that service, and it doesn't really do much most of the year. And then we take it to sort of a mobile satellite if that's how it worked. So we'd say, oh, we need it over at the festival fields, and somebody would be setting it up and helping be, and then taking it down and putting it someplace else where it's needed. But apparently that's very expensive. We don't really have any good numbers on that either. But if we get them, I'll be happy to share that with the board. But there's nothing further to report on that, except that that's kind of what we're trying to do ahead of the busy season.
I mean, are we allowed to comment? Okay. The bigger problem is Verizon and the service in the town and on the roadway and on Sable and in J and Upper J. I mean, this is bigger than a festival. Like, this is years and years and years of complaining without any help on their end. And I don't think it's, necessarily think that our town should be, this shouldn't be the get out of jail free card for these types of things. If they're complaining, we need to add this to a complaint list. I mean, we have houses that don't have any cellular activity along this road all the way into Upper J. Fox Farm is like a dead zone. This is bigger than this. I think that that should be the discussion, really, not to have.
I understand. I just was, a request is made by the people who are planning whatever, and it was last year was the one where I learned the issue. If we can help facilitate successful events for the town in some way, we're never going to get Verizon or NYSEG to do much of anything. And I'll say, well, Forks is dead. They got a lot more people living there than here.
It's awful.
And so.
Can we look into, I don't know if it's a possibility, but the highway department has a mobile hotspot.
They do. Nicole asked me about that today. I'll ask about that.
Okay, because we pay for that. That would be something.
But again, it's Verizon, so, it's getting sort of.
No, but I mean, that's Frontier.
No, I think that's on Verizon.
Oh, is it Verizon?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
Right.
Excuse me.
I think that's what I actually.
And I know Roy had filed a couple of complaints, more than one.
Oh, I was
complaint
listening to
with
these.
them
I listened to these two guys at
on the service.
at the Hotel Cerner saying, oh, we can get some sort of linkage in and stuff like that. And I said, no, I'll save the Forks first, guys. That's where the people live there. Who cares if you get service on where you're going to ride your bike? Just a minute, Tim.
If only there was some kind of currency people could use that didn't require internet service.
Oh, my God.
But
Start
really,
with that, Tim, start
really
with that.
lukewarm about this, about spending taxpayer money for something like this. This really should be something, if it's necessary, should be something Roost pays for. I know, I hate to go down this road again. The Visitors Bureau is a positive part of the community and they are on a great trajectory. They're also heavily subsidized by the town and I would like it if a different organization other than the taxpayers paid for things like this.
It wasn't the Visitors Bureau.
It's not the Visitors Bureau.
Okay.
It wasn't the Visitors Bureau
It wasn't the Visitors
that
Bureau.
brought it
I
up.
was gonna say, there's more than just the Visitors Bureau there.
Okay, so,
I understand, but these are tourist events and, you know, we do send Roost, the town board doesn't send Roost, but the town sends Roost more than $150,000 a year. So for these tourist events, why should the town's taxpayers be paying for the internet at them?
but it's even more depressing than that, Tim. The state of New York law, the
Okay,
state of New York, when they passed, they authorized Essex County to collect a bed tax in 1999, said that the money was to be collected by the treasurer and paid over directly to Roost.
yes.
Doesn't go to the county. It only goes to the county as a way station. It's the only county or municipality or anything in the state of New York that has that special provision where it doesn't stop at the municipality or county first. The only change that will happen to that mistake, outrage, is at the state level. We have to change the law at the state. So we're not sending them any money. The state of New York sent them.
But the money is coming out of Wilmington.
No,
It's being drawn from Wilmington.
no, not all of it. I'm just saying that that's how the tax works. So in any case,
I mean, I didn't mean the bureaucratic mechanism. I meant where the money's coming from. It's coming from Wilmington.
Taxation on.
yeah, it's good.
tax.
It's for visitors.
Right.
All right, so here ended that part. Before I talk to Tony, can we get a bill pay resolution from April 9th of 2025? A resolution so I can sign some checks.
Make it second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hey, public comment, Tony, thanks.
We had the international games,
Oh, yeah.
and they had that repeater transmitter out there on the flats.
Yep.
Boosting power and things like that. Is there any possible way that they would rent or lease something like that for an event that we would have in town, so then that way you would get the bounce off the towers and stuff, in between.
Yeah, the boost and the signal.
So, can we check into that at all? To see if we could lease something like that for an event instead of reinventing the wheel to try to get internet everywhere.
Right.
At least for an event, you'd have that there.
So, you just reminded, so there's gonna be an enormous event. We'll probably see those machines coming back into town, when they have the big downhill mountain bike race, in October. So they have, 1 day of training at White Face and 1 day of competition. And then there's 1 day of training, 1 day of competition at Mount Van Holenberg. And so it's gonna be a very big event, in terms of number of people coming to town to participate in it and to, spectators and things like that. So we'll see it again. I'll find out who to talk to. I'll talk to a few people I do know. Maybe.
That could be a temporary solution.
Yeah. I
Continue on.
will do that. Any other public comment? Anybody wants to? Pat?
What Tim said about, the Redwood Park, that made me think about, somehow naming or honoring, the Cording's son, Sean Cording,
Mhm.
in that housing development somehow.
Yes, I think originally, although I don't talk to the Gordons much about it, but I think I understand it was, there is a reservation for in honor of the Gordon son. But it'd be good to bring it back up again because it's been a couple of years since I think Roy probably was the one who had discussed that with them.
The recording will be here in June.
Okay.
7th.
Carol?
Okay, so during the last planning board meeting, we had a conversation about the deforestation and the amount of acreage that is permissible to cut down without getting permission
Mhm.
and stuff. And when we brought that up, changing it to lower the number of acres, because we are having this problem with deforestation, Chip said that it was really up to the town board to deal with.
Yeah, see, I'm having sort of I think I've had some sort of disconnect with the way I hope what the planning boards are able to do. So I'm not, so my vision of it is that the planning board are sort of like the eyes and ears for the town board. And so they're the people who get out there, they deal with it day to day. The town board isn't doing planning issues or zoning issues day in and day out. So they rely on, it's like a committee
Right.
of doing that
We
stuff.
agreed then, the committee did agree then that this was an issue and that we wanted to see it addressed.
Okay, but how? This is kind of,
By the amendment, by revising, yeah, you remember, right? You were gonna change we had a typo.
the typo part I understand.
Right.
I mean, that one I understand, but other things, I'm not sure what it is that we're being asked to do as a town board.
It has to do with permitting, to cut down, if you're cutting down in excess of, what is it now?
What?
50 acres?
No, either over or under 50.
Right, over or under 50 acres, right? And we were thinking that it would be best, since we are having such incredible deforestation, that we reduce that number. Because actually cutting down 30 acres is a lot of acres. Right?
Okay,
And that was something that we wanted to see addressed
okay,
on the planning board.
okay, well then, build some sort of a record. So,
I mean, it was agreed for, right? And that was the record. They voted to table it.
okay,
That's where Jim said no because he didn't want any regulation. I voted no because I wanted lower than
just a minute, let me
the
listen.
15 acres. But the three people.
Okay, so there's nothing as actionable for us on if it's been tabled in some way, okay? And also, I will editorialize to this extent. This is the kind of stuff that shows me that there is not really anything thought out, really thoroughly analyzed, agreed upon, and then, throwing it back at the town board is just, will get us sitting there saying, well, what for, kind of stuff. Where is the evidence that we're being so deforested? Where is the,
It's on the Friends of Wilmington website. Actually, I was really surprised because under deforestation, the planning board was completely cited as the reason that we have all of this deforestation in Wilmington. The map shows up with little pink spots,
okay,
showing all the parts of the town that has recently been deforested.
okay, but I mean, how does it work with the DEC plans? How does it work with the APA restrictions? When I go downstairs and look at the photographs from Wilmington and the Historical Society, there wasn't a tree around. There are a lot of farms, okay? Things change over time. And it's not necessarily,
So are you adverse to the deforestation then?
I'm not accepting it as necessarily a problem until you show me where it's a problem, okay?
I thought that it was one of the things that showed up on the surveys as being the number one.
Whose surveys?
There's so much going on right now.
Okay,
There's so many issues being raised.
There's a survey on the website.
I've never seen the website, never participated in it.
Your reports are on the website.
Who's
Okay.
I think
I
there's
don't
like
know, we
so
got
much
Friends of
confusion
Wilmington and
going
a
on
survey
right
and I'm
now.
not
Yeah,
sure
okay.
what we all want.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not enough.
So
Nothing to do with us.
can I try to clarify the planning board's role as stated in the town zoning code? The planning board, as Favor said, makes recommendations to the town board for amendments that should be made in the zoning code. Those recommendations, much like an STR committee or a comprehensive plan, have no force. They come to the town board, then it's up to the town board. The swapping the acreage requirement for the forestry in the use table. That was approved 3-2 at the last planning board meeting. The thing that was tabled was the agricultural use discussion. So now it is in the town board's lap, and we can discuss whether not requiring any permit to clear cut up to 50 acres, which is my understanding is what the present law, we can discuss whether that's appropriate. And I know that all the board members will have different opinions on that, but that's the job of a town board. You get all that?
I did,
No, I was talking.
just confusion. Do they have to write something for you to understand?
Ideally, but this is just a
There
swap.
were a lot of things being thrown here,
Yes.
whereas if they had come back to you with a written document from the planning board, it would have made life a whole lot easier.
That's true, but this is, as far as the forestry, this is just swapping two lines in the code that when the code was written, were transposed somehow. I don't know how or why that happened, but I mean, Doug or I can, or any of us can explain to you afterwards. It's truly a typo where one line is on, or one series of words is on one line, and it should be on a different line.
So that should be.
But as far as the acreage, it would be ideal if the planning board would come to the town board with a recommendation. I mean, they would make it a little easier for us and give us a place to start the conversation.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Anybody online got a question? I see Charlie's waving. I can even look over here and see Charlie. Go ahead, Charlie.
I want to go back to Shirley. I sat with her boys today, yes, and stuff, I'm gonna do her eulogy, but, you hit it when you said, nobody talked to Shirley in one way, feeling worse. I mean, she was always, but the other big thing we came out of that was, she would do anything in her power to help you, but she never wanted recognition. I believe she was actually nominated for Citizen of the Year and refused it. I mean, she did not. She wanted to work, she wanted to help people, but she did not want to.
No.
So, I mean, I guess,
Get it now.
well, it depends on what her kids want. If they are with her and they don't want anything, then we won't do anything.
Well, no, they're fine, they just,
I think a condolence is meant mostly for the benefit of the family. I think that's pretty much what we did today. Appreciation and condolence, but it isn't necessarily where we went. Okay, Pat,
On another note, Howard Trumbull also
I saw
Yes, he
saw
did.
that today.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
Another great.
thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn?
Make it,
Second. Thank you very much, everyone.
we have to go into executive.
Motion.
Oh, Don, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Motion to go into executive session, please. No, the purpose of the executive session is legal.
Who second?
I did, or no, I made it,
You
right?
made it.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Person for parking.
Oh.
Good. Nothing, you're not going to.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it's about. It's okay.
Okay. My son,